In South Korea have ordered 2 hospitals to temporarily close amid persistent fears of the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome MERS outbreak there. More than 170 people in the country have been infected and at least 27 are now confirmed dead. This has caused great concern amongst even the smallest communities, as hundreds of schools have also closed their doors to prevent the spread of MERS. Now, to give us an idea of what the country is facing, we are joined via Skype from South Korea by Ruan Mulder, who's an English teacher there. He's a young man from South Africa who's an English teacher in a school in Sangju-si. A very good morning to you, Ruan. Thanks for joining us.
It's great being here. Thank you.
Just give us an idea quickly, Ruan, of how many schools have closed their doors because of this outbreak. Is there any news on when the kids will be returning to school there?
Well, at the moment, there are approximately 300 schools that are still closed. And this is generally still in the Seoul Metropolitan District and the Gyeonggi Province areas. Obviously, as you would realize, this is markedly different from when it just started. At that stage, we were looking at about 3,000 schools that were closed, generally also in those areas, with a few exceptions in Busan, Gumi, and Gangwon-do, another area, another province. Unfortunately, there is currently no real information on when these schools will be reopened, the 300 schools that are still the approximate 300 schools that are still closed. The Office of Education has lifted their blanket closure order on the 12th of June already. In other words, that means it is now up to the school principals to decide whether or not to open the doors. So from my side, I can't really say when this is going to happen, especially with the 3 new reported cases of MERS today. So it really does depend on the principals and when they feel it's the right time to reopen the schools.
And tell me about the effect the spread of the virus is having on the streets. Are people changing the way they live a little bit in general in South Korea?
Yeah, definitely. There is a definite difference, especially in public areas. So when you go to the movies, instead of a full movie house, you'll find that there will only be about 10 or 20 people in the movies. Restaurants have been affected, public areas, sports events. Generally, most of the community, the Seoul, especially the Seoul community, have been affected by this. You find that traveling to Seoul also has decreased, where buses would be full generally. You'd now find that half the bus would only be full. So people are trying to avoid public areas at all costs, because they know that the virus is transferred if you get into close range or close to other people, if someone coughs on you, sneezes on you. So generally, people are trying to avoid close quarter areas so as to avoid the virus.
And what's the media saying? How are they reporting on it as a national crisis?
Yeah, definitely. The media in Korea have sort of been a little bit so-so. It's been good and bad. They've criticized the government for taking too long to tell the public which of the hospitals were the initial, let's say, where the virus started, which hospitals those were. So on the one side, you have the media criticizing the government, but at the same time, the government has really stepped up its game. And you find that from about 2 weeks ago, when we had a big spike in the virus in terms of infections, we've now come down to only about 3 infections. And this has been sort of the average for the last week or so. So there's definitely a decrease in the amount of infections, which can be attributed to the government's positive work and the way they've been treating this outbreak thus far. So media-wise, it's gone from negative to positive. I don't think that the media still sees it as impending doom. Instead, I think there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel, and you can see that in the way the media are responding to the MERS outbreak.
Ruan, thank you very much for that wonderful update. It's always nice to hear it from those in the country. That's Ruan Mulder. He's an English teacher in the Seoul district, the town of Sangju-si, giving us his version of how it's been covered in the media, how people are changing their lives, and really schools are still closed there, so it is a concern. But he says it feels like they've turned the corner in South Korea on the disease.